guys, today we are going to talk about surgery, pain relief, anesthesia, and hypnosis. And I will use some of the information from the book called Hypnotherapy by Dave Elman. It's kind of the Bible of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. But there are some great books about this, and this is one of the greatest. So, in the 1950s, Dave Elman was training doctors, dentists, surgeons to induce anesthesia to help their patients and clients with pain relief. And one day, one of his students, a psychiatrist, came to him. He asked Dave Elman's help with one of his clients who was a woman. And she had some strange pain issues, chronic pain, and they made all kinds of tests with her, and they didn't find any physical evidence of a disease or any reason for her to experience that pain. So he asked Dave Elman if he could help this woman just to find out what was happening. So he told them to come to his house one day together, and he would see what he can do. When the woman came together with the psychiatrist, Dave Elman put her into a somnambulism, it is called, state. It is a deep state of hypnosis. And he asked her about this pain, when this pain started, how it started, etc. The woman told that it appeared right after she had been operated on, and she had a gallbladder operation, surgery. So Dave Elman found out that somehow these symptoms must be related to that operation, but he didn't know how. So the psychiatrist asked Dave Elman to continue with the sessions and to find out what happened during that surgery that could have been the cause for these pains. And then, so it happened. Dave Elman went to the office of the psychiatrist where he met this woman, and he found out that the cause must be the operation itself. So it's not some physical condition, but something happened during the operation that made the woman react subconsciously this way. So he put this woman into a state called hypnosleep. It is a very deep state of hypnosis, and people in those times didn't even believe that it existed. So it was really groundbreaking. So Dave Elman put this woman into this hypnosleep state, which is a state deep enough to match the state in which the human brain is when someone is anesthetized. And he continued questioning the woman. She revealed that she could relive the whole operation. So she told all about the operating room, the people who were in the room, what was happening during the surgery, how it was happening, etc., etc. And at one point, the woman said something crucial, and that was the key to her problem. She said that of one of the doctors said, "Take a look at that gallbladder. She will never be the same after this." I'm quoting. And then Dave Elman understood that this was a program. This innocent sentence became a program for the subconscious mind. And he asked the woman, what did she think? What was the meaning of this remark? And she said that, well, this would mean that she would never be a well woman again. She would never feel good again or healthy again. And that was when Dave Elman understood that he needed to reframe this idea. This idea got implanted in the subconscious mind. The idea that she would never be the same or she would never be healthy again after this operation. So the body and the nervous system created pain. It acted upon this instruction. So Dave Elman needed to reframe that idea into an idea which makes her feel healthy and free of pain. So he explained to her that, you see, maybe the doctor used the wrong words, but what he really meant was that you will never feel the same as with that gallbladder. So your symptoms will be gone. You will feel much healthier, much better after the operation. And then he explained some more details, and then he just brought the woman back to her waking awareness. Her symptoms, her pain just disappeared after this episode. And that was a great revelation for Dave Elman, because in those times people used to think that when someone is under anesthesia or unconscious, they can't hear anything, they don't feel anything, they don't perceive or understand or know anything. Now this belief really shook at its foundations. Now when he told about these doubts that he had about anesthesia and how the human mind works in anesthesia or under anesthesia, one of his students, another doctor, he disagreed very strongly. And Dave Elman asked him if he would be willing to be part of an experiment. Of course, the doctor agreed. And Dave Elman put this doctor into hypnosleep, just like he did with the woman. And he asked the doctor to go back to one of his own surgeries when this doctor was operated on for some reason. And he asked the doctor to go through the whole process, to describe what he was perceiving, what was happening in the operation room, what was happening during the operation, how does he interpret those things, because he's an insider, so to speak. He's a doctor, he understands what's going on. And at one point, the doctor exclaimed during hypnosleep that, so that's why they are making such a long incision. I'm quoting. So after arousing him from that state, Dave Elman and the doctor discussed that there were lots of things that the doctor didn't know about his own operation, and now it made sense to him why the surgeon did things the way he did? What were his reasons? And it raised significant questions in the medical community back then. The question, is it possible that people who are unconscious, who are in coma, or who are anesthetized, that these people hear and understand what's going on around them, and that they also react to that, so that it has long-lasting effects on them? And how doctors and medical staff should deal with that? Now, this is a very crucial thing. It's a very important finding. And more doctors now are fully agree that even during operations, so in very deep states, or even in states where the brain is damaged, for example in coma, patients do react to suggestions, to the words that we speak. So really innocent words, innocent things can have very lasting effects. Now, one of my own experiences in this field, because now I was talking about the experiences of Dave Elman, who is an authority in this field. But one of my own experiences, I was working with one of my friends, and she had heart surgery when she was around 3 or 4. So she was very young back then. And when we were talking about her fears, her feeling of being unimportant, and feeling really helpless and kind of abandoned, she described her own operation when she was operated with her heart. And the doctors, there were a lot of medical staff in the operating room, and the doctors were having a dispute. And she was a small child back then, and she felt very unsure because no one was talking to her. You know, the consciousness of that child was there. And no matter how hard it is for us to grasp how a consciousness could feel in such a situation, for her, everything that was going on had a very deep effect. She was first, as I said, a child, so her critical factor, this critical mind, could not interfere and filter information out. It could not protect her. And also because she was under anesthesia, which means that the conscious parts of the brain were switched off. So the critical factor was again not there to protect her. And she felt helpless. She felt abandoned because the doctors were having those arguments. She said that she could feel emotions, the emotions of those people, some of them being angry with the other, and that it was also a question of pride, professional pride. If I'm going to be right in this dispute, if I will win, and she could feel the dynamics between these two parties and the emotions that were there, and that one doctor wanted his approach to be the right approach. The other one wanted their own. So it was a very confusing situation. Her heart disease was not a routine operation. It was very much experimental. So that's why the dynamics were so strained there. And she was lying there, really opened. Her chest was opened, and without any support, without any emotional relation, any care or signs of care for her. It was more of a professional debate there than a relation to her, and comforting words or just some gestures of comforting. Now she had the consciousness of a small child. So, and the doctors, they didn't know how to address the needs, the emotional needs of that child, even in this seemingly unconscious state. And that experience had very long lasting and deep effects on her. When she later revisited that scene, it was very unpleasant for her, but she was able to change the perspective. And for her, doctors used to be those semi-god like creatures, because she was just a small child and there were the doctors, and they can't be wrong. So if they don't like me, that's how she experienced that they didn't like her, so that must be my fault. So this is how a child's mind works, and she needed to transform that belief that it's not my fault. I am just a little child here, and these people are not understanding really the wholeness of this situation. They are not seeing the whole picture, how their behavior would affect their own patient. So she rephrased that for herself in such a wonderful way, because she's a very wise person, and she helped her own self, so that small girl to overcome this experience. She was there, so she kind of came back with her present self into that past moment, and she was the one to support that little girl, to give her that feeling of being cared for, of being important, that her well-being is really important. It's not just about the operation and whether this doctor or that doctor wins the dispute, but it was about her and her health and her future, and that all this is happening in her own benefit, and that those people are just people making mistakes. So when she finally processed these emotions and helped herself to go get over this and to get stronger and wiser, that was a wonderful moment, and that helped her a lot with those feelings of insecurity and not being important, not being lovable, and not being worthy. So that's it for today. That's what I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to give you a deeper insight into hypnosis, just to strip it off of this Hollywood, zombie-like image of these ideas, these false ideas, because hypnosis is an amazing experience. It's an amazing ability of the brain, of your brain, of my brain, of everyone's brain. This is how the brain is constructed, and it has abilities beyond our imagination. And this is just a small peek into what our brain is capable of and how fantastic it is, really. So that's it for today, and see you later. Bye bye.